Alright, so I wrote this essay 2 years ago, right before I graduated university. It was during a natural history course, and I was challenged by my professor Lynn Baldwin at the time at Thompson Rivers University to incorporate my own life into my research. So I was researching the salmon life cycle, and I was doing like presentations on how salmon reproduce and like their life cycle from a fry all the way to coming back as a salmon. So I was doing all that kind of really science-heavy stuff, but then my professor challenged me to get creative with it and relate my own life to these salmon. So this is what I came up with. We went on a trip to Bear Creek, and this story is kind of a combination of like my life and compare and contrast between my life and the salmon's life, and kind of the rocky rapids we both had to travel to get to be a realized human, I guess. And so this one's called Salmon Teachings by a Half-Breed. The half-breed's name is Jordan Robinson. Perfectly stuck between a rock and a hard place. He was easy to pick up. I approached, being careful not to slip into the stream. Eyeballing the form I instantly unconsciously named Sockeye Sam. From my perspective, he beckons me as dinner, my mouth watering, his large, muscular, ruby red body being the most delicious and satisfying meal. My footing becomes more solid as I began to make out the transformation that the sockeye has gone through. His humpback and deep-shaped mouth making him more similar to something you'd find deep below an ocean than in the shallow stream of Bear Creek. The fish, Sockeye Sam, was ever closer to me, so close I can pet him. I slowly reach out to stroke his back, and he responds by moving into my hands as if saying, "Here you go, I'm ready." To which I replied by snatching Sockeye Sam from his hard place. Our two lives joined, hand to scale, both travelers meeting in this low-lying creek bed in south central BC. In the moment I pick this fish from water, I feel stories emanating from his body. Instantly I imagine what the fish might say if only I could understand fish. This is it. I'm home, the place where my father and mother first conceived me, where my first memories were formed after hatching from a 3-month vulnerable cold slumber. We were 3,000 strong as young Alvin, living off the yolk still attached to my belly. I was part of a group of 300 siblings that survived the egg massacre that fed perch, walleye, and pike. We were their gift from my parents. During my growth, I followed the streams and rivers to Adams Lake, where I grew into a young fry, and continued my journey down the Fraser River to the Brackish, where I grew into a smolt and developed a tolerance for salted water. There were only 53 of us left of the 300. The ocean was a gauntlet of death as big fish ate little fish like me. I was the only one left of my brothers and sisters, alone in this gauntlet of death and diversity. Although I was but a solitary fish in a mammoth ocean, I found others like me. As I grew stronger and faster, I began to gain courage and confidence in myself. I began to lose my fear. I'm a survivor. It took me a pilgrimage of thousands of kilometers through the Gulf of Alaska to the middle of nowhere to find myself, to find my strength. I am strong, powerful, and beautiful. Now that I've proven myself to myself, I can head home. As I began my return trip, I began my transformation from the shimmering silver of my youth to the ruby red, which signified my maturation. I deserve this. Fighting up the river was a 500-kilometer pilgrimage that led me to this spot, the shallow bank that has served as my family's breeding ground, final destination, my birthplace and home. To these hands that softly pet my back as if I'm domesticated. These hands pull me from the place of my birth during the last chapters of my life, the hands of my impending doom to which I willingly hand myself over. My gift to these hands is my whole self. I've traveled hundreds of kilometers from the ocean gauntlet in order to give my whole body to the hands that need me. I am their gift. Less than milk which has blessed these eggs with life, this is my gift, to die with honor in paradise. After the painful pilgrimage that has brought me home, I embrace this end, Sockeye Sam. Just as Sam's journey required navigation of multiple rapids, my own journey required its own leaps of faith. When I was 12 years old, my mom moved us to Edmonton in an attempt to escape my father's drunken wrath. In doing so, removed me from the sweat that had so long been my foundation. The disconnection convoluted my mind to the point that I forgot my roots, that my father and mother had instilled in me. This was perpetuated by my hearing about why my dad ended up the way he was, and the trauma I had suffered. He was raped by priests in residential school, and as a result, began bringing home male prostitutes and going to bed after telling them my mom would pay for their services. She would refuse, and then she would end up being beaten. And I would watch this all the time. But I was so small, and I had no power to stop what I was seeing. It rendered the 4-year-old me weak, helpless, and afraid. But now that I was 12, a little bigger, and a little stronger, I ended up getting in with the wrong crowd and started trying to prove myself in all the wrong ways. That I was not nearly as much of a coward as I was when I was 3. My attempts at purging the fear worked. I did everything from stealing clothes to attempted murder. This deviance resulted in my expulsion from 13 junior high schools, 3-month drug treatment programs, countless group homes, countless foster care, 3 juvenile detention treatment homes, and burning every bridge I had. It took one simple act of love for me to overcome my self-destructive impulses. During my last Jewy stint, after my mother gave me up and I gave up on myself and I was completely alone, I was given one last chance. My hope came when my foster father, Inskip, came to visit me when no one else would. He simply asked me questions and I provided the answers. He told me that, subject to me following my own advice, I can move out of them. He had faith in me. That was all I needed. A little bit of hope. On the way home from the detention center, clear-headed, driving east sometime in May, he told me, look in the rear view. I didn't see anything in particular. Then I saw it. The first sunset in the mirror of that old green van. That was nearly 10 years ago, first time I saw a sunset in 10 years. I was only 16. Today I stand on the banks of Bear Creek. The weight of Sockeye Sam seemed to be just in the right place at the right time. For me to snatch him out of the water seemed to be more of a gift than a 100 sacrifice. Nature's way of saying, here you go, Jordan and Sockeye Sam. Both of you come a long way. Have an experience. So, Sockeye Sam, the Sockeye here seemed to have a suicidal quality, constantly fighting and mating for dear life to death. All I could think of in that moment was how delicious Sockeye Sam would be if I smoked his meat and sweet maple syrup for candied salmon. But alas, in this moment, I was a natural history student making my own natural history. I almost felt bad for putting him back, as if refusing a birthday present from my best friend, because it was too good. I didn't deserve such a present, such a blessing. I put a gift from nature back because I don't need it to provide for me anymore. My ancestors. I have a grocery store I can go to and buy all the food I want. This life was not meant to end that day, for I saw that he was almost home amongst his brothers and sisters. The ultimate family reunion. Although Sockeye Sam's life was in my hands that day, my life was on his gills and tail. Our life's pilgrimage was crossed. Touching Sam, even if just for a few moments, has reminded me where I come from, and that I am native, and that being native means being the underdog in a world designed for the civilized. Regardless of heritage, race, or species, it is always easiest to discriminate against those who don't think like us. Natives, Jew, fish, tree, as if our way's any better, as if we have nothing to learn from them. But what I've learned from my elders is that all things, plant, rock, air, water, fire, and animal, we're all living parts of creation.